So this video will be a shorter one compared to the previous two. In this video, I'm going to say something more about the dark side or the negative side of job crafting, and also about the future importance of job crafting. So first, the dark side. Although job crafting might lead to better well-being and performance, it's not all roses in certain circumstances. And so first, although in general job crafting is positively related to energy, it can cost a lot of energy on the very short term. And that is what you can see on this figure of this slide, and more specifically with the red arrows. So more specifically, we can see that daily reducing hindrance demand and daily increasing social resources is positively related to momentary energy depletion. And so this means that crafting actually takes energy, it takes a lot of energy on the moment itself. Second, there is a danger of crafting too much. And so research has found that certain profiles, such as workaholics, actually might craft too much, and more specifically might add too much task or challenges, which even might be positively related to symptoms of burnout. And then finally, crafting might also have negative effects on colleagues and the organization, especially when the job crafter passes hindrance job demands to colleagues. These colleagues might perceive more workload because he gets more work, and this might also lead to conflicts between the job crafters and its colleagues. And of course, when a worker reduces his workload, this might also reduces his performance. So that is also negative for the organization. Finally, I'm going to say a little bit more about the role of job crafting in the future of work. As you probably all know, a lot of technological evolutions found place the last decades. Some of these evolutions are cloud storage and high internet access. This allows employees, and especially knowledge workers such as academics or accountants, to work remotely, and so for instance to work from home. Due to the COVID-19 crisis, these technological evolutions even had a great boost because a lot of employees were forced to work from home as much as possible in order to avoid further spread of the virus. This means that organizations made a lot of efforts to make working from home possible. And so now, a lot of employees actually have the opportunity to work from home even after the COVID-19 crisis. Working from home actually has both positive and negative consequences. Positive consequences, for instance, are more autonomy, because you can decide where and when you work, but also what you want to do during the workday, because there is less direct control. Another benefit is that you are better able to combine work and family roles. And so when you work from home, you can, for instance, quickly do the dishes when taking a break, or you can take the kids from school, and so on. Then the negative consequences. Like I just told you, people get more autonomy by working from home. However, this autonomy also requires more responsibility, so you have to decide on your own when and where you work. So there are no fixed working hours, and there is no manager to tell you what to do the whole day. Working from home might also lead to blurring boundaries between work and the private life, and so people might actually find it more difficult to stop working and to stop thinking about work when working from home. And this is certainly not dramatic to all employees, because there are employees who actually like to integrate work and home. However, there are also employees who really like to keep work and home separate. And for these employees, the blurring boundaries between work and home might be a serious drawback. So finally, work from home might lead to social isolation. When you are at work, it's easier to have a small talk with colleagues. However, when you work from home, there are no colleagues nearby. So in summary, we can say that working from home and remote work in general puts more responsibility on the employee itself. And so there's actually a shift from top-down work design towards bottom-up work design. And that is why job crafting will become more important in the future. In other words, job crafting might help remote workers to successfully organize their work. Other forms of job crafting might be important too, and here I give the example of time spatial crafting, which I will further explain on the next slides. Time spatial crafting actually means that you proactively decide when and where you work in order to meet the demands of your work. And so, for instance, certain deadlines, but also the demands of your private life. And so, for instance, getting the kids from school. More specifically, it's the process in which workers, first of all, reflect on the specific work task and private demands they have that day. And so you first of all think about the things that you have to do today. Second, you select the workplaces, work locations, and working hours that fit those tasks and private demands. And so, for instance, when you have to work very concentrated, you can go to a quiet space. Or when you are very productive in the evening, you can decide to work in the evening. And then finally, the third step of the process. This step is about being able to adapt your day. So for instance, you plan to work from home, but certainly you have an urgent meeting, and then you should be able to drop the original plan and then to go to the office that day. Here are just some examples of the process that I explained on the slide before. And so for instance, for time job crafting, and so the first stage of the process is to think about some questions. And so, for instance, what do I need to do today? Okay, I need to finish a paper, write emails, and have 2 meetings with colleagues. And so, what are my private demands for today? I need to bring my kids to school, and then some specific questions. And so, which working times do I have available for my task and my private demands? And then so on. And then in the second stage, so you make some choices. So for instance, I choose to start working after I will have brought my kids to school and so on. And then in the third stage, that's the adaptation stage. So here an example is I need to finish answering my emails in the evening because I did not finish writing my paper in the morning, and I used the time in the afternoon for my paper. And then an example of spatial job crafting, so it's very similar. Again, in the first stage, the same questions. Then in the second stage, you make again some decisions. And so I decide to work from home in the morning, since I need to work in peace and quiet to finish my paper. So here he decides which location fits best with his tasks. And then finally, an example of the adaptation stage. Here I switched my office place to a closed office space because it was hard for me to concentrate on the paper in the open office space. So this was my part of the lesson of today. Thank you very much for watching the videos and for listening and for making the exercises. And yeah, if you have any questions, so please don't hesitate to contact me via email. My email address is laurens.verels@kleuven.be. So thank you. And now we can move on to the last part of this lesson, namely a part of Els van Belle, who will say something more about job crafting in practice.